Major essay number 1. When children are born in powerful families, they grow up and most lack a sense of how many privileges they receive based on their bloodline. They ask and receive, and their parents do not hesitate in doing so. If they want a strong career that is going to impact others, and like the Disney character Hercules, can make their dream possible with little work to put in. In the Disney movie Hercules, Hercules is born from a powerful family and is destined for greatness the minute he is born, just like some children in our world today that are born into prominent families. The movie Hercules, from the creator of Disney, teaches children positive moral values that can depict who a person can become in their future. Also, deeper meanings of the power of deception and how power is not always necessarily given but is born with. I vividly remember sitting on my couch and eating a pickle and getting goosebumps every time Hercules came out from under the large stone after beating the multiple-headed dragon. How he gleamed and everyone cheered him on and gave him a look of desire and thankfulness. This inspired me as a child to become someone great and have a sort of power of my own to help or save others. However, with this lesson, I became very competitive and always wanted to dominate my opponent to get that feeling of reassurance and power over another. I was a spoiled brat when I was younger. I was always the one asking and wanting more than I could handle. I would see the Disney characters and movies and wanted that magic and mystical strength for myself to make myself better. Maybe it was my upbringing that affected me, or maybe it was because I watched this movie 3 or 4 times a day. Nevertheless, I always wanted to make something out of myself and impact society in a way that not everyone could. In the 1997 version of Hercules, the film teaches children about the importance of making your family proud of the person you have become. Hercules is determined from the start to be something greater and make a difference in society. In the song Go the Distance, Hercules sings, "I will find my way, if I can be strong, I know every mile would be worth my while." This shows Hercules is willing to put an effort and hard work to make his life one that his parents would be proud of. People can see this hard work put to the test when Phil, Hercules' hero trainer, trains him, and he pushes on through the sweat to become someone he'd be proud of. A hero. In order to live up to his father, Zeus, he must undergo many obstacles in order to live up to his prominent bloodline. Hercules' emotional strength is put to the test when Hades tricks Hercules. He still beats the Titans because, with help, he finds the strength to fight on for his family's well-being, even though he doesn't have his powers for a portion of the time. Hercules could have given up because he had nothing else to live for, but with help and reassurance from others, he pushes on to do what is right in the situation and to save his family name. A deeper meaning of how power is born with, not given, is depicted within Hercules' blood family. From the moment Hercules is born, he is given lavish gifts, and everyone knows he is destined for greatness solely because of his high status. Bloodline. Hercules had a prophecy to fulfill that only the witches past, present, and future knew starting from the day he was born, setting some high expectations for an infant. Hercules was born and expected to save the world in years to come, and with that does come a lot of pressure, but also a great sense of worth and determination to be the best version of himself he could be. He was born with a strength 10 or more times an average baby would have, and his strength and power over others grew every day he was alive. This boost would help any individual out and could set them up for a successful future without them even knowing. Even with being transformed into a demigod, his power still grew, which provided him with many opportunities for greatness, even though evidently in some parts of the movie his brain did not. The influence of power being withheld in certain families can affect a child's value and opportunities in their future. Children born with wealthy or high-class families will more than likely be encouraged to do greatness and carry their family name to success. However, a child with a poor and low opportunity background may be discouraged to work harder because there is less financial support to back up their hopes and aspirations. I believe that in most scenarios, a person's power over others is determined by how supportive your parents are and mostly the number of zeros they have in their bank account. Our world revolves around money, and most of the time, who has the most affects us in good and bad ways that, as common people in society, we do not know. If a person in society is in charge, I believe they should be one of the smartest and experienced to make sure their actions are driving us into the right direction, not the wrong ones. The one with the most power is not always the one that is the smartest, which could mess up society and bring it to its own downfall. A child with a high-class upbringing will do big things with their future simply by the opportunities provided to them and have a sort of push by a relative to do better than their parents. If a child was born with a prominent family like Hercules, they would have the world and all its opportunities at their fingertips without any hard work needed. Hercules would not be the hero he was portrayed in the story if his family and trader did not invest so much time and support into him. Hercules' main goal is to return to Olympus to be with his family and feel like he belongs. Hercules loves both of his families, mortal and immortal, and most desires to make them proud of who he is. Family is key in Hercules' journey and will make children look up to their older generations and make them more grateful for their family. He also makes a strong connection to his mystical animal Pegasus and trainer Phil. He trusts him with his life and strives to not let Phil down because Phil was reluctant to help Hercules in the first place. However, he betrays his friendship when he falls for Meg and doesn't believe anything negative anyone is telling him about her because he's in love with her. After betraying Hercules, she realizes she is falling for him too. She dies for him, and Phil and Pegasus come back around to support their sorrowful friend in need. The lesson taught here for children is the power of friendship and how your true friends will always stick by your side. With lessons of the story being clear for a gullible child to see, some meanings of evil and deception are only apparent to a more experienced, weathered individual. Children that are born with supportive families that have little work to do are very vulnerable because they have learned to trust the people around them because they were not exposed to liars before. The sea is around every corner of this movie, and the greatest one is the love interest. Meg, Hercules' infatuating love interest, plays on Hercules' emotions for more than 2/3 of the movie and gets him to be her own personal toy to play with emotionally and physically whenever she pleases. Instead of keeping to his schedule and doing the right thing, Hercules and Meg play hooky all day and get nothing done with Hercules, while Hercules could have been saving lives. She purposely does this to get his mind off what he should really be focusing on, and all while making him fall for her and her fake flirtation and body language. This teaches children to be worried about those they trust and not let their desires get in the way of what is right to do. Meg's whole purpose of communicating with Hercules to find his weak spot, to get Hades a chance to beat him so he can rule the underworld and the regular world. Hades gives her an offer of giving him the key to bring down Wonder Breath. And in return, she will get the one thing she cares about the most, her freedom. She deceives him in her words and actions for her own benefit and does not think about what the consequences of her actions will do. This shows Meg's selfishness, and to children is a lesson that doing what is best for yourself sometimes is not the smart choice. She trifles with Hercules, does not care about his well-being, and if she didn't change, Hercules would have died and their mystic world would have come to an end all on her sake. A lesson for a pubescent to learn during the film is good will prevail over evil. Starting the beginning of the movie, when panic and pain, Hades' evil assistants try to take Hercules' power away, and they fail to do so, and no one knows yet this part of the movie, but Hercules will be the demise of the evilest characters that are set out to take over the world. The effect of good prevailing over evil is positive for young audiences because instead of trying to make our world worse, they will fight to enhance our world and not fall for the temptation of evil. Even with a slim chance of good forces winning at the end of the film, they still prevail because with Zeus explaining in the end that a true hero is measured by the strength of his heart. This teaches children to fight for what they love and not just for the fame and fortune. Most heroes, like Hercules, fight with their heart, and that is when they are at their strongest, because when they are fighting for good because they are fighting for for the good of the people, and he knows in doing so. For the characters in the film, with good and bad depictions of their physical characteristics vary drastically. Looking at Zeus and the other god and goddesses, they are all framed with perfectly sculpted bodies with rippling muscles and toned physiques. Also, the outfits they wear are always perfectly blowing to the wind with vivid light colors that are worn to perfection. This may portray to children that they must look like this impossible appearance in order to be a hero and be powerful in our world. On the other hand, the evil character in the story, Hades, is depicted with flames as hair and a practically strong nose that would look way more like a botched one in real life, and teeth that resemble shark's teeth, which most children are afraid of. The robes he wears are dark and gloomy with not a hint of brightness, and is perfectly topped off with a skull meaning death. With Hades looking and dressing in this manner, many children are afraid of him, and probably none of them would care to look like him in their futures. In the film, there are great differences of how the female and male characters are depicted in their characteristics and how they act towards one another. Most of all the men in the movie are characterized as very masculine and either support the protectors or are the protectors of the women and children. This portrays the boys that in order to protect the ones they love, they must have this impossible physique, which could be overwhelming and a bad influence because many who have this type of body today take steroids. While the women are barely shown and look very helpless with skinny figures that can be broken by being hit with a stone, younger females who are watching this film may become self-conscious of their own bodies because they do not have a waist as thin as Meg's. The major female in the movie, Meg, is seen mostly for her physical figure and throws her body around to seduce the men she encounters, as jobs for Hades, which resembles in our world today a prostitute. When Hercules initially meets her, he speaks maybe a grouping of 20 words, and by the end of the scene is swooning over her and love struck. This may be suggesting to little girls watching the movie that if she wants a man to fall in love with her, all she needs to do is throw herself at him and seduce him to get her own freedom and power. The movie portrays positive teachings and lessons for adolescents to strive for greatness and be strong. However, through a parent's eyes may seem offensive and teach that not everyone will achieve this greatness without a powerful background. The power of privilege is evident with Hercules and his high-class family, and make children see that some opportunities are going to be easier for prominent families to achieve. The influence movies watch as a child can generate different perspectives of the world and may positively and negatively push them into what they will become. Without money and success in a bloodline, a child must work hard and have grit to make a name out of themselves. For most, this will be hard, but the rewards and opportunities will become apparent, and they will be destined for greatness in their own way.